Good evening and welcome back to FPRL. It is another week of Tier 1, and after an exciting race and a narrow win for AMS Drive, after a few weeks away as well, he is looking to settle the score and get 2 wins, or hopefully make it 2 wins in a row. Object Fungus has absolutely ran away with this championship so far this season, so there will be a few drivers who will be looking to try and get that gap down here in Silverstone. Probably my favourite track to race on, and definitely my favourite track to commentate on as well. It is FPRL. Good evening, everyone, and I am also joined by the amazing, fantastic Cruiser. How are you doing, pal?
I'm doing very well, Soprano, and the first time me and you have actually properly done a commentary together. Of course, the last time we did attempt this was also ironically at Silverstone in the Formula 2 category for Season 1, but the less said about that, the better.
Yes, some technical issues on that one last time, but thankfully all of those issues have been sorted, and we're here. We're racing on Tier 1. This is the pinnacle of FPRL in, a season that has, like we said earlier, crews have been just dominated by Object Fungus.
Absolutely, the prancing horse, clear of everyone in the tier list. But no matter what is thrown Object Fungus's way, he just always seems to have an answer. But around a track like Silverstone, expect the unexpected.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. So at the moment, we are on board with Hirsch, who is just doing his outlap at the moment. It looks like he's going to be the first driver to go for a flying lap here at least. Let's just talk about the last race though, Cruiser. So we were going through the race results before, and it was a very, very close win. A very tough fought win as well, it looks like, for AMS Drive. Like we saw on Twitter in the pre-race discussions, there was a few weeks out for AMS Drive, but he came straight back in, and he managed to win the race on the first time out, and surely he's wanting to extend that winning streak to 2 in a row.
Absolutely, the momentum is definitely with AMS Drive tonight, as Hirsch is just beginning the first lap in this qualifying session right now. But yeah, back on to AMS Drive. That win last time out in Canada, I do apologise for potential background noise, but yeah, definitely a hard fought victory, and like we mentioned, to go 2 for 2, it would definitely build that momentum throughout the rest of the season.
Without a doubt, and the championship leader, Object Fungus, of course, in second place for that race. Who else but Object Fungus? Feel the Power in third place, a guy who isn't in this Silverstone race tonight. I'm sure he would have loved to have raced in Silverstone, but it unfortunately isn't meant to be for him. So we'll go through the grid at the moment, what's going on at the moment. So Collateral Lads, we've got Glads, Lizard King, AMS Drive of course, Tropical, Henkers, Tornado, Object Fungus, Gopher, Drobel, Hirsch, who is just going through Maggots and Beckett's right now, and judging by the way he's just done Maggots and Beckett's there, it looks like he's got a bit more rear wing than front wing there, Cruiser.
Of course, Silverstone is very, very mixed for setup. Of course, you've got corners like Stowe.
And he's gone round, and he needs to watch out. Oh, there's someone else that spat with him. Who is that? Is that Polar? It's Polia who has spammed with him. So a double spin as they exit Stowe. So I'm not sure. Maybe that's an issue with tyre warm up there. But both drivers, Hirsch and Poyer, go into the pits, and that could have been really bad there, Cruiser.
Could have been a double disaster, but it's spinning in sympathy for Poya and for Hirsch, as Fliniesta tops and gets the first lap into the qualifying session. Like I was going to mention, like the setup means so much around Silverstone. You've got some slower corners, of course. You've got the first sector, you've got Luffield and Woodcote, a bit more medium speed corners, but you've got other corners like the Maggots and Beckett's complex. You've got Tops, you've got Stowe, very fast, near flat out corners, as Nocco does a 127.8. But the setup, I feel, will play a bit of a part in qualifying, and a little bit more on that in the race.
Hirsch is in the Twitch chat now. He says that he's got huge floor damage, so Whoever's controlling the FP Racing League account says he thinks it gets fixed in quali when you go into the pit, so hopefully it does. But if not, then that is a big problem for him. We're on board with Ali Ferrari at the moment, the champion in Tier 1 last season. I've not seen much of him this season, but he'll be wanting to do quite well in this race. We'll stay on board with him. He actually goes purple in the second sector, and yes, Gary, I have seen that there is a drink redemption. I'm only on the water tonight, I'm afraid. I don't drink and commentate. I'm not sure about Cruiser though, maybe he does. Going around the final corner though, here's Ali Ferrari. It is going to be a 1:27.8, and that takes him to the top of the standings, just pipping Object Fungus by 300ths of a second. Object Fungus now just showing that Ferrari off. It's a lovely little livery that Ferrari's got, the special Monza livery. Who else is on a lap at the moment? I can see it's out of Williams, who is about to finish a lap there. Yes, it is. It's Revenge Zilla. We'll stay on board with him, see what sort of lap time he gets. Or actually, you know what? I think he's had a spin, because that time is, yeah, well, there you go, a 1:50.9. So he'll be going again, Zilla. Cruiser, why don't you take us through his lap? Oh, actually, a big spin for Zilla, and he just manages to keep it away from the wall.
Well held.
So clearly some problems with tyre warm up here at the moment, Cruiser.
Yeah, like I mentioned as well, the fast flowing corners, you definitely want that tyre grip, and it just seems like the Williams is a little bit off of the boil, so to say, on tyre warm up. Just jumping over to the newest member in tonight's race, Tropical, just up at the Beckett's complex now. Taking the inside car brilliant there through Chapel onto the hangar straight, the second of two DRS zones around Silverstone, going past the slow moving, I believe that was Williams of Hirsch on their outlap. Runs Stone out for the Haas, just keeps it within the boundaries of the track, and in this final section of the Silverstone circuit, be very careful on the throttle, gentle on the power through the final corner, and it's a 1:27.9. That puts Tropical in P5.
So really interesting opening, 8 or so minutes of this qualifying session. The top 5 separated by just under 0.2 of a second, Cruiser.
Yeah, we definitely see a bit of a steel split in Q1. Some people might just be setting one lap to go through into Q2, as we got a yellow flag in sector 3.
That's Revenge Zilla again. So
dear.
I think Zilla, if you're...
Oh,
and that's Fliniesta. Yeah, and Lexus as well.
Ooh.
So there's been a big moment between Lexus and Fliniesta. And I'm not sure, maybe Flynn has had a spin and then Lexus has collided into him, but it's a 5-place grid penalty for Lexus, so I mean, depending on what happens here, he might be starting at the back.
Yeah, definitely not ideal for the Red Bull, as Object Fungus has set that
just retiring in the pits.
Yeah, he has set that one lap and retired in the pits, as Lexus is going to back off of that attempt and let through the Alpha Tauri, I believe, of AMS Drive. Indeed it is of AMS Drive.
AMS Drive. Who's that? Lizard King is going very slow, actually. It didn't seem like it was full speed for him, and still doesn't seem like he's going very quickly. This is another yellow flag. Who's that? It's Tomcat, who's on his outlap at the moment, but we'll stay on board with AMS Drive. Of course, last week's race winner, he's going to be the next person to set a lap time, actually, as he goes through Maggotts and Beckett, and maybe just goes a little bit wide as he exits Beckett, but gets the DRS on, really hug the line there and clip the curve just a little bit. Gets DRS down the hangar straight though, and reaching speeds of over 200 miles an hour. He's got a lot of downforce on that car, but keeps it nice and tight as he goes around Stowe into the Vale chicane. Just clips the curb once again before he reaches the final corner. Looks like it could be a good lap here for AMS Drive. It's going to be a 1:28.1, and that puts him into 6th place. 8 minutes left in Q1. Will he want to go again, do you reckon, Cruiser? As there are still a few people that haven't set legitimate lap times.
Yeah, we do have a few people on another outlap right now, like Revengezilla and Brookhaven. A lot of drivers behind AMS Drive right now on a flying lap, as Tornado it goes up into 7th, and Poya does a 129.1. But I think AMS driving a 128.1 might be satisfied enough to leave it there for the remainder of this session.
Yeah, AMS Drive has opted to abort the next lap that he's doing. He's got quite a lot of battery saved up though, so if he wanted to go then I'm sure that he could. But 6th place, yeah, it looks like it should be alright from us. Is that another spinner there? Is that a Red Bull this time? Is it Lexus who's gone round? Yes, I believe it is. So Lexus not having any joy whatsoever here. He's on 2 minutes at the moment. I'm not even sure if that would be in the 107% times cruiser.
Yeah, just Lexus, it's just not happening for the Red Bull, and I think with that 5 place grid penalty, I think that's rather ruined any plans for Lexus to try and get into Q2 unless he somehow has another set of tyres available, but he's just burning through so much rubber here in Q1 that I don't even know if it's worth putting on another set.
I'll tell you what though, someone who looks like they're in good pace is Brookie Min. He's going to be one of the last people to set a lap time here, and I think he's timed this perfectly. Purple in the 2nd sector. Going around Stowe here, you can see how low that car is to the ground. And he's running low fuel as well. You can see the fuel light is flashing red. Around the Vale chicane now, very gentle on the throttle as he just lifts off a tiny bit, but it's going to be a decent lap time here as well. Puts himself P9 with a 28.4, but we're seeing a lot of purple sector 2s here, Cruiser. I wonder what sort of setups these guys have gone for, because it is a very power hungry track, a track that you're on the throttler for a long time for, but at the same time you need to have these little sort of twisty corners. You've got to have the downforce to get that right as well.
Of course, you could argue it's a bit of a hybrid between Monaco and Monza. Silverstone, you want to have enough downforce to stick it through these very long, fast-flowing corners, but you also don't want to have too much downforce because you're going to lose out in a lot of these long straights here as well.
Revengezilla goes purple in the 2nd sector now. I'm not sure if that's a glitch or if it is just happening, but let's see if he's made any improvements to his tyres. He doesn't go round at Stowe this time, so it looks like he will set a valid lap here, and it's on a fresh set of rubber as well, so I don't think he'd want to be doing that in Q1, but he's been forced into it due to all of his spins. But a 28.8, it's not incredibly safe, Cruiser. He's, what, about 2/10, if that, to safety. So I think he'll want to go for another round, unless he just calls it quits and just ends up going out in Q1. Let's have a look at Collateral Ads. He is the very last person to set a lap time, Cruiser. Why don't you take us through his lap here?
Absolutely, so just heading through Ancient out onto the Wellington Straight, the first DRS zone on the Silverstone track, and now probably one of my favourite sections of racetrack in Formula 1 in general, through Woodcote and now Luffield. You've got the grandstands to the left cheering you on. Careful not to run too wide there on the exit, and now onto the old start-finish straight. Absolute flat out here towards Cops. Is he going to remain flat out? No, a bit of a lift there for the Alpine, just keeps it within track boundaries. And now towards the Maggots and Beckett's complex for Collateral Ads. Doesn't invalidate. A bit slow there, but round Chapel now, on towards the Hangar Straight. The second DRS zone is now activated for the Alpine in a purple sector 2. Once again, a bit of a pattern here, or a domino effect across this entire field. And now around Stowe for Collateral Ads, keeps it within the boundaries once again. Now up to the final section of the track, the Vale chicane. Careful not to clonk the inside curb around both of this. A bit of a twitch on the exit, just keeps it in check, but he goes wide around the final corner. That will have cost him time, but a 128.6, I think that could be just enough.
Could be just enough indeed, as it's just gone a little bit quiet on track, hasn't it, Cruiser? It's the calm before the storm, really, where I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the final 18 cars go out for a lap here, because when you look at it, there is a second that separates 1st and 16th. So, I mean, I know track evolution is a big thing, but could the likes of Zilla do it? Could Poya do it? And gain that extra time that they need to get out of Q1?
Certainly not impossible, but it just means it's a little bit more difficult. Poya, I think, is on a fast lap right now, and Revengezilla, still no movement from the Williams in the pits. We're seeing Lizard King go out for one more lap in this Q1 session, and a bit of movement as well in the Red Bull garage. So, and again, I think both Red Bulls might be in a bit of trouble here, both 19th and 20th. So they'll need to see some improvement.
Here they come though. Here's Lexus at least. So Lexus really needs to get going. He's still got 2 minutes on his lap time at the moment. Gopher as well. Like you said, it's a surprise when you think about real life to see 2 Red Bulls last and second last. But yeah, let's see what sort of time he goes for. As Nocco has, I believe, retired in the pits. I didn't see any yellow flags though. Down the hanger straight he goes, and Poya's actually down on his time. So at this moment, Poya will not be making it through to Q2 as AMS Drive also retires in the pits. So he thinks he's safe in 6th place with a 28.1. Let's see what sort of time Poya sets though. This is going to be really important. There is still time to set another lap if he wants to, and I think he might just be going for that. Yeah, he lifted off definitely, but he's going again. Monkey Boy, we're seeing as far as 10th place Cruiser retiring from the session. They think that they're safe, but from Monkey Boy all the way to Poya, it's 6/10. Like I said, there is track evolution. Oh, sorry, Poya is a girl, my mistake. Let's have a look at the chat actually. Pines, this shouldn't be happening. Tier 1 already 8/10 off my time trial. Let's have a look, see what else is going on. Henkers, I think, will be going for another lap. Lizard King, like you said, as we went on him, has actually span at Abbey and will want to go again. He needs to get a move on if they're going to get going. Tomcat as well in, well, it is an AlphaTauri, but looks like they're in the, oh yeah, there we go, the AlphaTauri. Once again, it doesn't look very quick, does it? Not a lot of these guys look like they're really pushing for it so far. Brookie has opted to stay in the pits. Glads is on a lap at the moment, Cruiser. Looks like everyone is on a lap now, so let's see who's going to be the first to finish. I believe it's going to be Gopher who will finish his lap first. And it's a 29.1 Cruiser, and it's not good enough still to get out of the 19th place that they are in.
These dudes still have a lot of battery though, so this will be the final chance for Gopher, and his teammate Lexus just a few seconds up the road as Poya goes up into 9th. So as you mentioned,
wow,
the track evolution could potentially put Brookingman and Kurt in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, great work from Poya. We'll go on board with Lizard King, who's actually invalidated, so, and that's it. That's going to be it for Lizard King. Actually, I didn't realise how long was left in qualifying. Lizard King could be at risk. The same with Collateral Lads, who has opted to stay in the pits. Henkers has also invalidated, and they're on the cusp at the moment. Hirsch said that they didn't want to get another set of soft tyres, but it looks like they've opted to go for another set. Both them and Revenge Zilla are out on laps, but Zilla has invalidated, and Zilla will be out in Q1. They'll not be happy with that, as Gopher has also invalidated, so it's all on Lexus now to get out of Q1 for the Red Bulls. We'll stay on board with Lexus here to see what they can do. Are they able to get out of Q1 as Hirsch has dropped into the drop zone? It looks like they'll be out in Q1. Lexus will stay last place for Lexus, and with the 5th place grid drop, I mean, it keeps them plumb last, doesn't it? So there's not really any chance that they'll start any higher up unless there's any major incidents in qualifying. But there you go. There is Q1 as Henkers has just opted to retire into the pits, but between 1st place and 8th place, only 3/10 separate them. Hirsch in the chat saying no, and Gopher saying mess, so I think Gopher might just be happy to just start from the back, work their way forward. Definitely a good strategy. No idea what's going to happen with the weather as well, Cruiser. Ash, don't worry, lad, you're still in the wheel. Yeah, they must be using a wheel for the first time, judging by that comment. So Q1 is now done, Cruiser. What are your immediate thoughts?
Ferraris are definitely where we would expect them to be. Poya put in a reasonably good lap as well towards the closing stages, but both Williams and both Red Bulls, along with the Aston Martin of Fliniesta, it's definitely not an ideal qualifying for those five, but Lexus as well with that incident earlier. I believe it was with Fliniesta carrying that 5 place penalty, so regardless they would have been starting at the back. But I think, looking as well, that both Alfa Romeos here.
I'm your tier 3. Oh, see, I can't see gamer tags on the Twitch chat, can I? It's TS9. How you doing, pal? TS9, who didn't race yesterday, unfortunately. But it's 2 back-to-back P5s, actually, for the AlphaTauri guys. So he got a P5 in Canada last week. I got P5 in Silverstone this week. Let's hope that we can keep that consistent. Cruiser, your race was an interesting one. We were talking about it before the stream.
Yeah.
And I did feel a bit sorry for you, mate, because you absolutely rode them medium tyres to almost the very end.
Unfortunately, that's just how racing goes. Getting caught up in an incident on lap 4, having started on the hard compound tyres, so I had no option but to stretch out the mediums or gamble on a safety car, and unfortunately rolled the dice and just one time too many. So found myself finishing in 8th place after running in the podium, or fighting for a podium for such a long duration of the race. But at the same time, that's what happens in racing. You just dust yourself off and move on to the next one.
Exactly, mate. Great mentality to have. It's sprint week, as TS9 has just said in the chat. Completely forgot about that. It's Austria next week. Very, very exciting race there, surely. But the impetus at the moment is, of course, on Tier 1 in Silverstone. Gopher says, gotta love invalidations. Hey, yeah. Invalidations are something special, aren't they? As Collateral Lads just letting a few of the pack go through. Just wearing the fuel down a little bit, going up and down the gears. But you can see Tropical must have just absolutely flown out the pits, because they are, towards Cops at the minute. They're at the old pit straight. Just getting a little bit of heat in their tyres. So Tropical looks like they'll be the first driver in Q2 to set a lap time. But let's have a look at the Q2 grid at the moment. So we've got Collateral Lads, TTV Glad, Lizard King, AMS Drive, Tropical, Henkers, Tomcat, Tornado, Object Fungus, Drobel, Poyer, Ali Ferrari, Nocco, Brookie and Monkey Boy. So Q2, I think it's always really important. As Collateral Lads has gone right off the track there. Actually, I'll tell you what, Cruiser. Tropical is just starting their lap at the moment, so why don't you take us through it?
Absolutely. So on to the newly renamed Sir Lewis Hamilton Straight. Of course, was given his knighthood a few years ago by Her Majesty, God bless. And now through Farm now, turn 2 and turn 3, hard on the brakes. Kisses the inside curb now around Abbey. Corner that you desperately want to get on the power, but you just have to wait until you're absolutely committed at the exit of Abbey to get the power down through Aintree, down the Wellington Straight. We've got an Alpine there getting well out of the way. I believe that would be of Monkey Boy Kurt. Now through Woodcote and Luffield. The grandstands to the left cheering you on as you get the power down through gears all the time. Tropical running it very wide, but just keeps it within the boundaries of the track. Now they will start finish rate before the run around Cops. A bit of a lift there and a downshift for the Haas. Keeps it within the boundaries, and now Maggots and Beckett's kissing the curves all the time. A little peck on the inside, and now around Chapel, using as much of the exit curve as he can to shorten the run onto the hanger straight now. Now this long run up towards Stowe. A bit of traffic ahead for the Haas, but all of them keeping well without the way. Down into 5th gear, 6th gear on the exit, up to 7th past the pit lane entry point, and a bit of a clobber there on the entry to the Vale chicane, but does keep it within check around the final corner now. and it's a 1:27.5 for the Haas, and a very satisfying performance.
Yeah, cracking first lap for Tropical, beating the previous best lap time in Q1 by around 0.3 of a second. Is that an Alpine that's had a little bit of a spin literally at the start of the lap? Of all the places that you could have had a spin, Monkey Boy, it is on the Hamilton straight. As you saw, that's Object Fungus there with a 27.8 as Poyer gets into third place with a 28.2. So the lap time's actually coming thick and fast now. Here's Brooking in with a 27.9. There'll be a couple more that come through now. Henkers with a 28.9, so who's going to come next? It's Ali Ferrari who's going to come next. Around Stowe now. They hope that inside curve, don't they, Cruiser? As they just lift on the throttle. Around the Vale chicane into the final corner now. Keeps it nice and tight. You can just hear the slight reverberation of the curve. And that is a 27.2. Around 0.3 faster than Tropical's time as Nocco goes into second place with a 28.5. A very interesting start to this Q2 session, Cruiser. Still 10 minutes to go. We've got AMS Drive is going to be the next driver to set a lap time, and it's a 28.4. And he'll not be happy with that. He'll definitely want to improve on that.
Yes, Robo goes into fourth, and I believe we're looking as well at a bit of a spread, looking at some drivers who could be on an older set or a used set of tyres from Q1, looking at maybe Henke's, AMS Drive, and possibly looking towards Poya as well. Marshall as just exiting Stowe as we speak, and we'll see what time the Alpine has to respond to everyone else. And final corner.
Just a little bit lazy at the very end there, just jumped over a couple of the curves, but maybe benefited from a bit of a slipstream from his teammate in front, as Monkey Boy will actually go for another lap time now. He's saved all the battery that he could, and is going for another lap, but hops over the curb once again. These two Alpines are not being very friendly with the curbs at the moment. Let's see what happens in this first sector though. Is he going to go purple? He won't, but like we saw, a lot quicker than his previous first sector time, but just gets a little bit out of shape and goes a little bit wide as he rounds Luffield. There we go now, through the old pit straight. You can hug that line as much as you want. And then we go into Copse. He's absolutely flat out here and just lifts off the throttle ever so slightly and had to correct it. A little bit of opposite lock before we head into Maggott and Beckett. Look at the way he takes these, it's so nice and smooth. A little bit of a lift as he heads into Beckett's, but we head onto the hangar straight, and that was a cracking second sector from Monkey Boy Kurt cruising.
Absolute commitment from the Alpine there, as Tornado goes up into 9th on a 28.2. Kurt, the fuel light is flashing for the Alpine, but you should have just enough in the tank to get to the end of this lap. But what does he have in store for the rest of the field? And up to the line for the Alpine, and it's only a 28.3. But looking at that midfield, that is incredibly, incredibly close.
It is so close, isn't it? You look at, second, third, fourth. That's 5 milliseconds separating those, and it's 3 positions that is separating them as well. It's crazy. Tomcat is going to be one of the next drivers to set a lap time. You can see there's a Haas in there as well as that Tornado. Yes, it is. I think Tornado has just finished their lap. Collateral lads back into the pits. AMS Drive is coming back out for another lap. So, like I said, they'll not be happy with that lap time. Straight back out for another lap. Still 7 minutes to go in this quali session in Cruiser.
Yeah, there's plenty of time for the track evolution to kick in, as we've got a yellow flag going around Copse. I think that could have been for Henke's getting out of the way of Lizard King, who's up in 7th. But a purple sector 2 for Tomcat, so again we're seeing the track evolution, and another yellow flag at the Beckett's complex. What's happened there? I think Lizard King's went for a spin there, I think, yeah.
Oh man. Let's just keep an eye on what Tomcat does at the end of their lap. It's a 28.3, so at the moment the two AlphaTauris in the drop zone with lap times that would have comfortably got you out of Q1, but you can see the difference in pace at the moment. The likes of AMS Drive, if they want to get to the top 3, they've got to gain almost a second on the others. So that's Monkey Boy Kurt and I believe Lizard King literally bumper to bumper as they're heading back into the pits there. That's the action that you want to see. Henkers has just started their lap. Who else is going at the moment? AMS Drive will be going for a lap very soon. We'll keep an eye on Henkers though before AMS Drive starts their lap. Very slow once again around that corner. I think if you look at the rear wing of Henkers there, they've definitely opted for that pure pace on the straights in the DRS zones. We'll go on board though with AMS Drive cruising. Why don't you take us through his lap?
And they went up to 8th gear, round turn 1. Keeps within the boundaries, very easy to invalidate, taking too much of the inside curb. Up towards turn 3 and now turn 4. Again, you want to get on the power as quick as you can, but you need to have that bit of patience before you eventually do. Bit of a step onto the Wellington straight now, and for his first sector split, he's up by nearly 4/10, so that's a good response for the AlphaTauri from his first lap. A bit wide though, going around Luffield, but it will allow him to get the power down a little bit sooner with that wider berth he gave himself going around there, and now around Copse, taking as much of the curb as he can to maximise his entry point. Keeps it within the boundaries once again, very easy to go wide there out of that corner if you're too committed. And another bit of the track where you can invalidate through overcommitment, and that is the complex. Manages that very well, and he's found another 2.5 tenths on his best time, so this is definitely looking to be potentially challenging the upper half of the field if he hooks up this final sector. Very tidy around Stowe. Now just a few corners to go for the AlphaTauri. Bit of a bobble on the curb, but he doesn't lose too much time. Avoids the sausage curb round the outside and up to the line, and that's more like it for the MS driver. 127.6.
Definitely more like it for AMS Drive. Goes into 5th place. Cruiser, do you think that's going to be enough for him?
I'm not sure. Well, we've seen the track evolution for AMS Drive. He found 8/10 on his first lap, but it could have been on an older set of tyres. But I don't know, but I'm definitely looking at that midfield, and right now, dare I say it, anyone from the top 5 down, they are in trouble.
Definitely is. Yeah, there is not a lot of time really separating 11th place up to 5th and 6th, 6/10 in total, and like we said, we saw the track evolution. Henkers is going back into the pits, so if they want to go and have another chance of getting into Q3, they're going to have to really go at it. This Collateral Lads on a new set of soft tyres, only 400s faster than their previous lap, so they need to speed things up if they want to get back out. And it is a big spin for Collateral Lads, and you saw the car just went the wrong way. They tried to correct it, and it was too late for Collateral Lads. So is it going to be back into the pits for Ads? Yes, it is. So 2 minutes 57 on the clock, and Collateral Lads back into the pits now. We'll have one more chance to go as Poya starts their flying lap. The only person actually on a flying lap at the moment is AMS Drivers heading back into the pits. Glads in 9th place at the moment has just come out for their out lap. Sorry, who's that in front? It's Tornado as well. So a few of these cars spilling out, and most of them you can see are in that drop zone or around the drop zone. We'll keep an eye on what happens with Poya though, Cruiser, because this looks like it could be getting tasty. A place in the top 10 is on the line here. Q3, you can get really good starts from the higher positions, of course. At Silverstone, a big power track, a big powertrain track as Tropical has opted to retire in the pits. They think they're safe in 3rd place as Poya flats out around Copse. That is amazing from Poya. Going through Maggots and Beckett's. Did you see that? They didn't even lift off the throttle, I don't think, Cruiser. Through Maggots and Beckett's now. That is fantastic. Let's see if they go purple in the 2nd sector. They do, and it's 4/10 quicker than their previous best time. At the moment, they will hop into the top 6, top 7 sort of range. Once again, goes around Stowe, keeping it nice and tight, just touches the curb a little bit, heading into the Vale chicane before the final corner. This looks like it's going to be a good lap time, Cruiser. Where is Poya going to go from here? Into 9th place. I'll tell you what, there must have been a little bit of a loss of time in that final sector, Cruiser, because that lap looked a lot better than the time that actually came out.
Yeah, we saw they were up by 4/10 going down the Hanger Straight, so they might have lost a bit of time going around the Vale chicane. We've seen as well they've got an identical lap time to Lizard King, but a 27.9. I don't know. That could just see them through, or just see them eliminated. Because as we saw in Q1, and a lot of the drivers trying to improve in their lap time, they do run the risk of invalidation, and that's what everyone, I think, from Lizard King, Poya downwards, that's the trap they've got to be careful of avoiding.
Speaking of Lizard King, they are going to be the next driver to set their lap timers. It says 5 minutes for some reason, but I'll assume that'll correct itself once he crosses the line. But let's see what time it is actually going to be. A 1:27.9. Oh wait, no. Wait, what? I don't know if they've improved then in that case, Cruiser. But they are going to go again, as we are going to see just about the end of Q3. Who's going to be the next driver to set the lap time? It's Collateral Lads. Collateral Lads has had a moment, I think, as well. A 1:28.3. I don't know what's going on with these times, but Collateral Lads is going for the time. Monkey Boy has invalidated and is out of the session. AMS Drive has opted to retiring. Glads going into the pits, Cruiser. What's happened there? Lizard King on the cusp now in P10. It's getting really feisty here. Let's see what happens. That's Monkey Boy going into the pits. Poya is out in Q2, so they'll not be able to get into Q3, unfortunately, but their teammate Drobel in 4th place has made it through. Who else is on a lap time at the moment? There's Henkers, has still got a lap to go. Lizard King is going to be the next driver to set that lap time, so let's see how much they've improved by 4/10. And now Brookie Min is looking under a little bit of pressure now, because Henkers and Collateral Lads have both got lap times to go here. Brookie Min might be sweating a little bit. I think they've opted to stay into the pit. I think from Object Fungus down, they should be a little bit worried here. Object's not even going for a lap. They've invalidated, so we'll stick on board with Lizard King here. And Lizard King goes 7th fastest, so Brookie Min is on the cusp of elimination here. Collateral Lads has also slowed down, so that means that Brookie Min has just survived by, 7 milliseconds to Poya. So she'll be kicking herself at the end of that as well, Poya, because she had a lot of pace towards the end of that qualifying session, Cruiser.
Yeah, we definitely saw a lot of times improving, and I think Object Fungus and especially Brookie Min have let out a very heavy sigh of relief. They've definitely rode their luck in that session, but sometimes that's what you've got to do. And also, when Collateral Lads did begin their lap, they invalidated going around turn 1, so that's why we only see 14th there and 15th for the Alpine duo.
Incredibly helpful though for Brookie, because I'll assume, thank you Gopher for redeeming the drink, I'll assume that they just stayed in the pits and they didn't bother going out for another lap. We'll have a look at the director. Yeah, Brookie, only one set of tyres in that Q2 session, but you can see Henkers, Collateral Lads, Tomcat to stay in that Q3 fight, opted to go for 3 sets of soft tyres, so they'll still get 1 extra set in Q3. Well, Tomcat will at least, but they're going to have to do a scrub set lap before anything else, Cruiser.
Yeah, definitely not ideal having the having a used set of tyres for Q3. You would preferably want 2 new sets, but I suppose at the same time it's better having at least 1 new set than having no new sets whatsoever, because you'll have to sacrifice Q3 and find yourself in the midfield.
So, hello to everyone in the chat. Henker's invalidated. Oof, close one for Fungus and Brookie. Code Brown says Brookie Min. And then David says clean up in pit lane. So, I'm not sure if anyone can put the poll for poll up, but it's going to be a very interesting Q3 session here, as just looking at the clouds overhead, Cruiser, I'm not one for doing a little rain dance or anything, but it doesn't look like it's a particularly sunny qualifying session, is it?
Well, you should always trust Britain to throw up a little bit of rain here and there, and I think that could potentially be on someone's bingo cards this evening if the rain dance is effective, as you said, Soprano. For all we know, the intermediate tyres could be getting a bit of usage in this race, or even in Q3, as we're seeing everyone going out for that early lap time. So I wonder if rain is on the way.
Rain could, well, possibly be on the rain. Maybe we're just exaggerating. Gopher says rain at the end of the race, by the way, and that...
Oh dear.
Wow, that could be crazy. That could be absolutely crazy. At the end of a race in Silverstone as well, when a lot of these people will be opting for lower front wings to just get that straight line speed. You've really got to rely on slowing down in the corners and getting the corners right in rainy conditions, so we'll see what happens in that case. Tropical, once again, very fast out of the blocks and is the first driver by a long margin to go on the outlap, so we'll stay on board with them just before they start their lap, as just getting a little bit more heat into the tyres, and you can see by the fuel light as well, they've put next to no fuel in Cruiser. They are going to start what could be a pole-setting lap in Q3. Why don't you take us through it, mate?
Absolutely, Q3, leaving nothing to chance for the top 10. And yellow flag as well, going around Vale. I think that could be for Lizard King, just backing off, getting a bit of clean track before they begin their lap. But Tropical around turn 3 and turn 4 on towards Aintree in the Wellington Straight. Very careful not to invalidate going over the inside curb. But I get the feeling on this first lap they'll be taking it a little bit more cautious, as a 27.5 first sector split for the Haas. It was a little bit wide though through Luffield, but that will get him the power down on the exit. And as I was mentioning, a little bit less haste in this first. Completely tripping over my words, pardon me. As Tropical goes a bit wide there around Cops and invalidates this first lap, but I think he will continue. No, he's backed off.
So AMS Drive, the next driver to go in the pecking order. So we'll stay on board with him. My former commentating partner actually is AMS Drive. We used to commentate back in ETSR and FRL. I used to get paid for that actually, fun times. But goes purple in the second sector, of course he does. As you can see, once again, they're going over 200 miles an hour here. You can see who has opted for that, lower rear wing, just to get as much straight line speed as possible. Around the Vale chicane, just lifts off the throttle quite momentarily, that AMS Drive, but it's going to be a 1:27.6, and it's a good benchmark for the start of Q3 Cruiser, as Lizard King goes into second place with a 1:27.4, but let's see what Object Fungus does. Wow, a 1:27.1 beats AMS Drive by almost 0.5 of a second, Cruiser. This is going to get intense here.
Absolutely. Ali Ferrari now up to the line. It's a 27.2 for the Mercedes.
Wow.
And Nocco responds at 1:27.0. So first blood.
So at the moment,
first blood
a
to Nocco.
1-2 for the Ferraris, but Nocco, yeah, first blood to him. Is Tomcat, can they get anywhere close? It's a 28.4, so definitely a lot of time to go for them, but like we said, they are going to be using a scrub set, is Tomcat. Nocco is baiting, says Gopher. Oh, sorry, Object is baiting, says David. Gopher says the low wings force you to lift in some corners. Yeah, definitely, I know what you mean, mate. And that's Brookie. Brookie's going into the pit as well. Has Brookie got damage?
No, I think...
No, Brookie doesn't have any damage.
Yeah, I think Brookie drops it going around Chapel. I saw them on the driver track, a yellow flag around there. So they had to back out of that lap, and I think they'll get another set of tyres on. As Tropical's going around to complete their lap.
Here we go.
The Willows exit them. Ooh,
wow, okay.
27.4. So
I'll tell you what, that keeps Tropical in the mix with things as well, because you've got to remember they invalidated their previous lap, and that'll mean that their time, the tyre wear has gone up a little bit, so not the true pace for Tropical at the moment. There are definitely still at least 1 or 2 tenths in there for Tropical. So first blood to Nocco definitely, as Tomcat will just be heading back into the pits. Tornado though is going on their outlap. It'll be interesting to see how Tornado does. I think had a little bit of trouble in Sunday's F2 race cruiser. I think you commentated on that, didn't you? Were there some issues with Tornado?
Yeah, Tornado does have a little bit of a F2 hoodoo, having, I believe, retired in the last 5 consecutive races.
Oh, wow.
And that's put a massive dent in their championship hopes. But I suppose any momentum they can gain from this evening, that will do them some good, as the Formula 2 circus actually rolls into Silverstone, and we end off our week of Silverstone. Absolutely shameless plug here to say that F2 will be on this Sunday around Silverstone, so be sure to check that out on the FPRL channel.
Definitely be sure to check that out. And of course it's Tier 2 race day tomorrow evening at 8 PM. Be sure to check that one out after a thrilling race in Canada, a dry to wet to dry race in Canada last week. It was certainly an interesting one to look at in the race results earlier today. As Silverstone boy Gary is going full time, isn't he, in F2?
Yeah, he's had enough of putting up with me in the commentary box, so he decided to take one of the seats that were available at the first opportunity he could.
Do not blame him whatsoever. Gary, a fantastic commentator in his own right, always does the bits, did the bits in the Tier 3 race yesterday with Collateral Ads. It's always good to hear his voice. Tornado though, on his lap. And this is the time actually in qualifying where you get to have a little sort of break. You can sort of reflect. Tornado has invalidated. You get to sort of reflect on everything that's happened in the session so far, and everyone's in the pit. It's all a little bit quiet. So Nocco on provisional pole at the moment after the first round of racing, or after the first round of quali laps. It's a 1-2 for Ferrari at the moment, followed by the Mercedes Rally Ferrari, then Tropical in 4th place, AMS Drive in 5th, Lizard King 6th, Tomcat 7th, and then Tornado, Drobel and Brookie Min still yet to set any lap times in Q3, but they are of course guaranteed at least 10th place pending any problems. Of course we did have the problem in Q1 with Lexus. That was an interesting one, definitely. Pole for Pole is live as well. There are 2 votes for Ali Ferrari. I'm sure Ali Ferrari voted for himself. Nocco has got 1 vote. Tropical doesn't have any votes whatsoever. And then Object Fungus and AMS Drive have 1 vote as well, respectively. Is that a little bit of activity in the pits? I believe it is. It's AMS Drive out for an outlap, and it's very early, I think, in terms of just, I think, lap times in general, isn't it? Like 3 minutes left. It's very early, and there's not really many people coming out yet cruising.
I think what AMS Drive would be thinking is, if he does make the initial mistake on his first flying lap, he'll have enough time to recharge his battery, then go again. As you mentioned, just under 3 minutes to go. That's definitely enough time to get at least 2 laps in, but I'm not sure about going out this early.
Yeah, very early indeed, as he's invalidated his outlap now, so pushing quite a lot, I must say, for an outlap. Any other activity out the pits? Yes, Tropical has come out, as well as AMS Drive's teammate Tomcat, but AMS Drive here is going to be way ahead of the rest of them and might actually catch up a little bit of traffic here, Cruiser. But a very important lap here. If he wants to have a chance at getting pole position here, then he's really got to ace this lap. AMS Drive is starting his lap, Cruiser. Why don't you take us through it, pal?
Absolutely. So he's got to find at least 0.6 of a second on this lap. We've got a few cars heading out on track, staying well out of the way of the flying Alpha Tauri. around turn 3 and turn 4. Very tight there against the apex. But flat out now around Aintree to the Wellington straight, and we'll have a look at his first sector split. And he is up by a tenth and a half as we go through Woodcut and through Luffield now for the Alpha Tauri. Keeping well out of the way is everyone on the outlap right now. And unfortunately for AMS Drive, he won't have the luxury of a slipstream from anyone in front of them. But bit of a lift there through Stowe, it just keeps it within boundaries. And this is where the lap is going to be, this is where the lap time will be made or lost through the complex. Maggots, Beckett's and up to Chapel now for the Alpha Tauri. Almost runs off the track, he's pushing that hard and he's matched his sector time from his first lap. He's only up by a tenth and a half, but he does have this final sector to go, and we have seen that the Vale chicane has caused a few problems for our drivers as Drobo stays well out of the way as well, getting ready to start their last lap. AMS Drive now around the Vale chicane, using a bit of the sausage curb on the outside up to the line for the Alpha Tauri, and it's not any improvements for P5, but it's a 127.5, so that's further extended that gap behind them to Lizard King.
So Lizard King, speaking of, invalidated the outlap once again, I believe. There's a bit of a timing glitch still going on. Object Fungus though is coming to the line, and what sort of lap time is it going to be for Fungus? Nope, glitch once again. That's a bit annoying. But he made it to the line at least at Object Fungus. There was only a few seconds left, as that is the checkered flag out. So Ali Ferrari has not made the line and is third at best. Tornado. And is that Tomcat and Tropical have both had a spin as they get onto the hangar straight, so they will both be out of qualifying. Well, at least they aren't in contention for pole position now. Who else is on a lap time at the moment? We can see there's two Mercedes. One of them is Brookie Min. Brookie Min hasn't set a lap time at all yet, but has got fresh rubber on those tyres, and is going to be the next driver to set a lap time. Let's see what lap time it's going to be for Brookie Min. Is it going to be anywhere near pole position? It's 6th place for Brookie. There's two Hasses now coming through. One of them was Tornado, another was Tropical. They are both not in contention for pole position. Drobel is going to be the next driver. Will they stick it on pole? It's a 1:27.1, and it's 2nd place for Drobel. Lizard King now. Actually, we see Object Fungus, or Nocco, sorry, improves their time. Object Fungus, one of the next drivers to come through. But Lizard King is going to be the next driver, who is up by 0.5 of a second. What sort of time is this going to be? It's a 27.1. It's Object Fungus nicks it at the very end and takes pole position.
Wow.
Object Fungus rounds off a Ferrari 1-2. There was so much going on there, but in the end, pole position and 2nd place separated by 100th of a second, with Lizard King in the Alfa Romeo just 200th of a second back from 2nd place as well. What an impressive end to that qualifying, and as Hirsch said, Ferrari absolutely unstoppable cruiser. What an end to qualifying.
I will like to say that Ferrari being unstoppable, the only team that can stop them is of course Ferrari, looking at them in real world Formula 1. But wow, just absolutely wow. The top 5 covered by less than a tenth and a half, and everyone within the top 9 covered by 0.6 of a second. Unfortunately for Tomcat, he just couldn't quite get that lap together in the end. But
just that spin, wasn't it?
Yeah, just that spin going around Chapel. But looking as well at the times here, you know, Ali Ferrari on a 1:27.2, Drobo and Lizard King at the end on a 27.1, but Nocco did invalidate their final lap, and ultimately that cost them pole.
Cost them pole indeed, as Nocco and Object Fungus round off that Ferrari 1-2, but you've got to take your hat off to, I think, everyone, Lizard King especially, getting into P3. And then the McLaren as well of Drobel in P4. It's set up for what is a very exciting race, because there's a few of them that, you know, will want to be making a few places up, as the sun is shining here at Silverstone, and I don't think there's any chance for rain. Surely, cruiser, look at the sun And look at the almost cloudless sky. Definitely not.
Never say never. In Britain, of course, the weather can change in an instant. But yeah, definitely a very bright start to the race, and hopefully this has got a bright ending in store for one of our drivers as they get to taste some very nice champagne and get a first place trophy at the end of 26 laps of the Silverstone circuit.
Very excited for this one as we do just have a few minutes to wait and just let everyone get their strategies together, get their fuel loads together. And I think it is a good time to remind everyone that it is, of course, September. There is only 8 days of September left where you, if you subscribe right now, get 20% off that subscription. And also, if you have Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime actually, be sure to use your Twitch Prime subscription on FPRL. All the money that goes into the league all the money that comes in goes back into the league, and it helps with the development of the website, other things like that. So be sure to consider subscribing. Like we said, September, 20% off your subscriptions at the moment. But at the moment, we are going to focus on Silverstone. Ferrari 1-2. It was a Ferrari pole position in Tier 3 as well. It's been a Ferrari pole position here in Tier 1 tonight. So I think it's good that we've both done this race yesterday, Cruiser. We get a good idea of what to expect with the tyres. You did how? I'll some of you do a face reveal, Soprano. Just look for me on social media, mate. My face is everywhere. I'm not bothered about face reveals. Yeah, you did what, 21, 22 laps on your medium tyres before they got a puncture. So, and with that being said as well, you still had really good pace on them. So you can definitely go quite far with the hard tyres. At least you could do that amount of time on the hard tyres. You could even go. I think if you pitted lap 1, you could probably finish the race on the hards, surely.
Yeah, I did manage 19 laps on my mediums before the front left tyre gave way. But like you mentioned as well, I was able to keep up with the front runners for a lot of that stint, as David reminds me that my tyres go brr. That's nice. Unfortunately, that was the case on Wednesday, and unfortunately, I think I gave quite a lot of information away to the rest of the field, so they'll know the limits of the medium compound tyre, and I think that could be what we see a lot of our drivers start this race on as the hard compound tyres. They just take so long to get into a race, and around a track like Silverstone, momentum is key. So I wonder if we're going to see some people take the hit early, or they're going to try and leave it to the end of the race.
Gary says that you did a Hamilton but without the win.
Yeah, well.
But then you could argue that you did a Verstappen and pitted for fastest lap. So
Exactly. Well, I suppose the irony is that one of the McLarens actually, the front left tyre went pop as well around Silverstone, so I kind of did a carbon copy of that. So
yeah, definitely a lot of wear on the front left tyres around Silverstone, especially when the track temps are up as well. There will be some problems, but hello to everyone who is watching the stream. This is, if it's your first time watching, then like we said, consider subscribing. But this is FP Racing League. It's Tier 1. We have Wednesdays Tier 3 races, Thursdays Tier 1 races, and Friday Tier 2. And you can't forget the F2 races as well on a Sunday evening. Tornado says, I need rain. Not I want rain. I need rain. So no ifs, buts, or maybes. Absolutes for Tornado. He needs rain. Thunder is better, said Hirsch. Let's have a look at the championship standings as well. So, Object Fungus is, like you said, running away with it. 215 points for Object Fungus, followed by Brookieman with 66 points. Knocko in the Ferrari on 60. Glads with 56 points could get into the top 3 with a good result here. Collateral Ads as well, 54 points, is in the same boat as Glads basically. Henker's on 44 points. We've got Ali Ferrari on 36. Cryptic on 36 as well. Ads on 34 points with Monkey Boy on 27. Lexus on 24 with Hirsch on 24 as well. Fliniester on 13 points with Dark Gopher on 9. Drobel with 6. Gronzi with 4. And then Poya, Revengezilla, Lizard King and Tornado all on no points whatsoever. But they will be looking to get a bit more of an advantage in this race. Hopefully get some points for the first time this season, the last 4 of them. Thank you, TS9 Boss. Oh, thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate that. Let's go through the grid, though, Cruiser, and let us know your thoughts on tyre choices as well.
Well, first thing that pops out towards me is that Lexus is going to be starting on the soft tyre, so they're going to want to make a rapid getaway at the start, and also seeing there's a large majority of drivers starting on the hard tyres compared to the Tier 3 race where majority was on the mediums. So we're definitely seeing that split amongst the field.
And I think maybe a few of these have watched the Tier 3 race, or maybe even tuning into the stream tonight, or maybe you've just done their own research and thought, yep, you know what, the hard tyre is the better race tyre around here. It might take a little bit longer for it to get going, but once it is going, it's very durable, it's very fast, and those medium runners will be stuck in the mud because they'll have to pit earlier and they'll have a lot of ground to make up. I think we saw it in yesterday's race when that safety car came out. The likes of Reese, the likes of who's the Mercedes? I can't even remember who it was.
It was Fish Sticks that made the early pit stop as well, I believe.
Yeah, so they made early pit stops and they really benefited from it. You know, of course, yourself as well, Cruiser, you were forced into a pit stop, but you saw what position you were in before the puncture, and that could have been, you know, something special. So early pit stops, I think, with a safety car would definitely help for the medium runners, but they are going to be in deep trouble if there isn't an early safety car, because their medium tyres, they can go, like we saw with you, Cruiser, they can definitely go, but only for a prolonged amount of time, and especially if they're starting on those tyres, they won't last as long as they did for you. So Object Fungus is, like we said, going to be the first driver to line up on the grid. But sorry, I think I cut you off there, Cruiser. What were you going to say?
No, I wasn't going to mention it. I was just going to bring up as well that there's going to be quite a lot of variety in pit stops as well. And we saw yesterday only one safety car as Drobel's been disqualified for missing their grid box. But you never know. It could throw up quite an exciting race with the spread of tyre selection.
Definitely, and I'll be surprised if Lexus doesn't make up a couple of places with the soft tyres. But let us see what happens here. So we are just waiting for the rest of the grid to form up. And here we go, we're ready for 26 laps at Silverstone with 5 red lights. And we are racing, and it's a good getaway from Object Fungus and also Nocco as well. But Lizard King, it looks like Nocco just had to cover off Lizard King as AMS Drive managed to gain a place, and there is Henkers. Henkers has gone round, and Lexus has gained 8 places from the start. And AMS Drive gets a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Monkey Boy. What has happened there? Monkey Boy has dropped a few places from the start. Tornado right at the bottom as well. AMS Drive, I think, has had a spin. What has happened at the start for some of those drivers? We can see Lexus up into 10th place already, but it is Object Fungus who has kept the lead ahead of Nocco, with Lizard King in 3rd place. Tropical has made up a couple of places in 4th. Ali Ferrari up to 5th with Drobel dropping down a couple of places in 6th. Collateral Ants in 7th. We see Glads in 8th place as well. Tomcat in 9th. Lexus, like we saw, chasing in 10th place. Lexus has actually dropped a couple of places now. You can see that the medium runners, I think, have started firing their tyres up now. A very, very interesting start as Lexus just runs a little bit wide. And are they going to get the run on Hirsch to get into 11th place? No, they won't. But around Maggots and Beckett's, this is an interesting start here, Cruiser. We need to go back and see what's happened with AMS Drive and Tornado, because those two got really up in the thick of it. And there was Henkers as well who had a spin.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened, but contact up towards Stowe there between Brookieman and Fliniesta. They both get away with it, but Fliniesta, massive snap around Stowe, just keeps it in check. And Lexus made a rapid start, but he did start to drop down the order, but Tomcat in the pits. And I wonder if that's for a front wing change. And I saw as well, Tornado, I think, lost it going around turn 1. I'm not sure if they made contact with anyone already lit up the rear tyres. But I did see them like going across the track, and it's an absolute miracle how everyone avoided that, and especially Lexus. They purchased the most out of that already from 20th up towards the fringes of the points in P11, and having a go now at Hirsch.
So Drobel as well dropped down a couple of places from the start, got disqualified in the formation lap for just missing the grid box a little bit. Was very close to Ali Ferrari and is still close as they are going for the all pit straight now. Will he have a little look? Oh, he's a little bit too far back, isn't he? Let's have a little look a little bit further down the line as Gopher is having a go at Tornado as well. I think Tornado just got past before they went into Cops. You can see a lot of them, there's a lot more fuel on these drivers now, so lifting off the throttle is a must here. Heading into Maggots and Beckett's now, we see Gopher sticking to the back of Tornado's rear wing. And you can just see the predicted pit stop strategy, so hopefully a one stop for Gopher, a medium hard strategy, but the fact that they've just dropped down. Right, there you go, that should hopefully be better. A weird ticking noise, yeah, my bad. No, still nothing. Right, let's try that. Right, is that better? It sounds better. Oh no, it's back.
Coming from my end. Hold on.
Anyways, let's keep an eye on what is happening in the race. As you can see, Lexus and Hirsch having a massive battle here. Hirsch down in P11, Revengezilla, his teammate, on the hard tyres. They need to get a little bit of warm up. No, it's still not better, Cruiser.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure what the problem is then.
Give us little diagnostics if possible. But Hirsch gets past Lexus at Cox. They're going through Maggots and Beckett's now. Let's see what happens here between the two of these drivers. DRS is going to be on for Lexus, and I wonder now if the turn the game sound down a little bit. We'll just have a look at what's happening between Lexus and Hirsch's. Lexus does get back into the point. Right, I'll just quickly turn the game sound down.
She's got a better grip there, as one of the Aston Martins has had problems, and it's CTV Glads. I think Glads is went for a bit of a spin around the final corner. I'm not too sure what the problem is though with...
Okay, hello? Okay, just checking on stream if you can still hear me, but anyways, let's keep an eye on the battle between Lexus and Hirsch. These two are absolutely battling it out at the moment. They are trading places for the points positions. We'll go back to the tyre compounds at the moment. As you can see, Hirsch and Lexus both going flat out into Cops, and Hirsch gets through it. Cops, what an amazing move by Hirsch to move up into P9, and Lexus I think might just be dropping off a little bit because those soft tyres will have absolutely taken a beating with the battle. They're going back and forth at the minute, but we'll stay on board with Lexus as we can see a little bit further up. Tropical and Ali Ferrari just having a little bit of a battle. Ali Ferrari into 4th place now, and is Hirsch going to lose a couple of places? And Zilla, sorry, gets ahead of his teammate Hirsch. Oh, and is that a spinner? It is, it's Poya. Poya has spun, and Poya will drop right to the bottom now. Tomcat still not having much luck. Got you back now. Thank you, David, for letting us know. Let's focus on what is happening a little bit higher up. And Brookie is out. Brookie has spun at the final corner, and is that going to cause a safety car? I believe it has. We've got full course yellows, and all the drivers have been told to slow down now. And it'll be interesting now to see what happens between the likes of Nocco and Object Fungus. You can see Hirsch as well And this is actually played right into Lexus's hands. If they want to pit and go for some new tyres, and I believe it is a safety car here, Cruiser, rather than just a VSC, because it doesn't actually say safety car. Yeah, we can see the safety car is out on track now, and around the same time in Tier 3 that we got the safety car, it has come out in the Tier 1 race, Cruiser. But what a start it's been, though.
Yeah, we're getting a 3-second penalty there for the tracking infringements. But yeah, Lexus definitely making the most out of that start and having an almighty battle in the midfield, not just with Hirsch, but Revengezilla, Flimiesta, TTB Lads, and AMS Drive as well. They were starting to get involved in that fight as well. And unfortunately, in that scenario, Brookman came off very much the worst. And as we mentioned as well, in regards to the pit stops, I'm seeing
Let's
here,
just see if
Lexus.
No, it stays out, but Nocco has opted to pit.
Ooh.
So Nocco has pulled the trigger and really had to slam on the brakes there. Let's see, Hirsch is going to be the next medium runner, so let's see if Hirsch opts to go into the pits.
And he does.
Tiddlewink says Cruiser Mike Twist.
Oh.
And yeah, Hirsch goes into the pits, same with Lexus. AMS Drive also goes into the pits as well, so that is interesting from AMS Drive. Maybe opting for the medium tyres until the very end. So at the moment, Object Fungus has kept P1, but has not opted to pit. But when they do, there's going to be an absolute mountain to climb unless they can keep those medium tyres in a good temperature, and if they can just if they can take good care of them.
Yeah, I'm looking here. What's happened to Lexus? Because on my screen, they are still in their grid box, or their pit box, excuse me. I'm not sure what's happened here with Lexus.
Lexus is going to drop right down the pecking order here, I think.
Not only
it's finally gone.
Both Hoya and AMS Drive, they have the same problem here, I think. What on earth is going on?
Yeah, what on earth? So, new tyres on for both of these, but nothing happening. They're still in the pits.
Oh, this is an absolute disaster for these two. And also just a quick check.
There goes AMS Drive.
There we go. Hoya still stricken in the pits. Also, just through this.
What on earth is happening here? It's glitched, apparently.
Oh,
there we go.
Finally get released.
Oh
and
wait, so it was
what?
a glitch. So I think they'd already gone out. That's so weird. This game sometimes.
And David reiterating exactly what we were going to say.
Yep, perfect. No bugs. Happened in Tier 2. Yeah, crazy. David is well making a really good point about medium runners. Any medium runners who didn't pit they're just not going to win. I think that's unless Object Fungus can keep the same sort of strategy as the hard runners. It's going to be an absolute mountain to climb.
Did see though at the start of the race he was starting to pull away though from Lizard King, but I think that the advantage that the mediums did have is now gone. But at the same time, on a safety car restart, I'd much rather have a set of used mediums and a set of used hards. As Lizard King, what's happened?
Lizard King.
Oh,
Lizard King is.
Oh, he's went for spin.
What's up? Oh, you're joking.
Oh,
Lizard King.
dear.
Tornado says that there's an issue.
I'm
not too sure what's happening.
Been overtaken as well by Tropical. What is happening here?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's happened. Tornado says there's an issue. SC lights on either, so some have Delta issues. Yeah, I noticed that actually. That not everyone is catching up to the safety car as quick as they could. So yeah, I think there's a big issue in this game at the moment. So possible restart, but I'm not going to do anything until someone says something. But let's just see if Nocco's able to catch up, because Nocco's the closest person to everyone. AMS Drive as well. I think it's because they weren't on the lead lap, were they? So they still had to follow Delta. Anyways, it looks like they're catching up now, at least. Yep, Kuzi, your mic's all better now, apparently.
Ah, there we go.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, apologies for the crackling and everything. We didn't know how to actually sort that, but glad that's all sorted. Yeah, I think any issues that there were have been sorted now. But yeah, like I said, the safety car lights aren't actually on at the moment. I think they are actually, are they? Yeah, they are. So I'm not sure what you're on about, TS9.
Yep, they are on my screen when spectating Object Fungus. Well,
Yeah, everyone's caught up.
yeah, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if they weren't on whatsoever, to be honest.
David says at least we can listen to some lovely ASMR comms. Yeah, and they're going around the final corner. The safety car is staying in. Or staying out. So when you speak, there's crackling. Well, look, I don't know how much we can sort of fix things during this race, but to me, Cruiser, you sound fine. Don't worry. Don't worry yourself.
Oh, thank you.
But everyone has caught up to the safety car now, so I will assume that this will be the final lap, unless the safety car wants to go for another lap. But I'm just thinking now, there was talk about the rain, wasn't there, towards the end of the race? This safety car means that the rain will come a little bit sooner in the race. And that's a thought, actually, isn't it? If there is rain expected at the end of the race, if Object Fungus can hang it out to, let's say, lap 18, 19, 20, then it could be an absolute blinder for Object Fungus.
It's definitely taking a gamble here, and it is starting to get a little bit more grey and darker in Silverstone. So I wonder if that rain. Sorry, I'm just looking at Twitter's chat there.
It's all a little bit weird, isn't it?
But yeah, personally, I wouldn't recommend staying out on mediums unless you absolutely are 100% committed.
If you have to, yeah.
But I wonder, like you mentioned, will this rain, if it is going to show up, be arriving a little bit sooner than we expected?
Definitely, and you can just see to the left of the screen the clouds are getting very, very dark. Safety car is in this lap as well, so Object Fungus essentially becomes the safety car here, and you can see Tropical, who has managed to pull himself up into second place, has possibly played a bit of a blinder here, as you can tell as well that they're using either medium or no traction, because the car's just sort of swiveling about when they've put the throttle on. Let's see when Object Fungus will start going though. This will be really interesting as well, because I think Object Fungus now will be slightly under the cosh. You expect you'd probably go now, wouldn't they? No, they're going to leave it literally right to the line, and there Object Fungus goes, and I'd say yes, slightly catches out Tropical as Fliniesta. Oh, there's been some problems there, and it's Lizard King. Lizard King out. Lizard King is out, and there won't be a safety car here because it was right before the end of the safety car period, but that yellow flag will stay there. Lizard King, who had a fantastic qualifying, is out of the game and out of the race as well. Monkey Boy loses a position, but him and Fliniesta are both battling, and that's Monkey Boy as well, who has had a half spin and has lost 3, 4, 5 places on the safety car restart. Now that's unfortunate for him, as Tornado up into 10th place now. Gopher has lost a place as Nocco, who did pit for the hard tyres in the safety car period, has moved himself up to 12th place from 14th, as Gopher losing a lot of places now, down to 15th, and AMS Drive putting him under the cosh as well. You can see as they go into Cops, as AMS Drive going to have a go. No, he's not, but he's going to stay on him. And could he get a switchback here, AMS Drive? As they go into Maggot, he's drained a lot of his battery here. And he has! He's got him! What a move that was from AMS Drive, but he's had to go wide, and he's cut the corner just a little bit too much on the throttle there from AMS Drive, and that's dropped him down all the way to the bottom. Let's keep an eye on the battle for first place though, because Tropical has dropped that gap down to 0.4 of a second to Object Fungus, and like we saw, Tropical has now got the better tyres to Object Fungus, but Fungus gets a really good exit and brings that time up just a little bit more. Where else are the battles at the moment? Let's keep an eye on the battle between Tornado and Henkers. for 9th place. You look at these, and the throttle is what Tornado sends one down the inside. Is it going to stick? He gets the outside line. And is it going to be a lovely switchback? It's a brilliant switchback from Tornado. Wow. And what a move that was from Tornado. Just runs him out of road as well. And that's him up to P9. What a fantastic move for Tornado. And that's AMS Drive into the box as well. Thank you for pointing that out, TS9. Into P18 he goes. And speaking of moving up places, Tornado up to P9 after that fantastic switchback. Poya makes a move on Hirsch as well. They've pitted for some medium tyres, so let's say it does start raining. Will it benefit Poya as well for going for the mediums? Cruiser, the start of this second period, as there's a yellow flag, and what's happened there?
Oh, it's
Lexus. It's Lexus who's gone round. Cruiser, what is happening in the second period of the race?
I wish I knew, Soprano. It's been absolute chaos for the entire field. But up at the front, though, Object Fungus, he's keeping that gap to
He's pulling away, yeah.
He's keeping that around 7/10 of a second. Ali Ferrari echoing that gap between the Haas and the Mercedes. Strobo keeping up with the top three. Marshall Adge running a good race in 5th. Then Revengezilla in 6th.
Zilla as well, yeah.
TTV Lads in 7th. And looking as well here, Nocco and Poya both making that pit stop already up to P11 and P12 with DRS enabled. But Nocco, is he yet within the DRS range of Henkes? I don't think he is. So
not this time round, I don't think. Nah, he didn't make it. I'll tell you what though, Poya is in the DRS range of Nocco, and you can tell that she's banking on a little bit of rain coming, because she's opted for the medium tyres here. Started on the hards, is going to go for the mediums, and it's going to be a very, very interesting end to this race should it start raining, and Poya could be right up there with the rest of them. In the chat, TS9 says a great second stint for Collateral Edge and Revengezilla. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Up to 5th and 6th place. They were both out in Q1, weren't they? Or I think Revengezilla was out in Q1 at least, but Zilla up to 6th place as that's Tomcat making the move on Monkey Boy Curb, but these guys are sticking side by side into cops. And these in Tier 1 just do not care, do they? Well, they do care, don't they? But they just give it absolutely everything. 2 overtakes into cops we've seen now, maybe more that we saw off camera. And Tomcat now can chase after Hirsch here. Hirsch looks like he might just be struggling on them hard tyres at the moment, as Collateral Lads gets a 3-second time penalty. Definitely not helpful for them. Let's go back to the front of the pack though, as Drobel is just sticking with the likes of Ali Ferrari and Tropical as well. This is a battle for first place, remember, as Drobel actually gets the fastest lap. We'll see, will Tropical stay in the DRS range of Object Fungus here? Yes, he will. And it's going to be DRS here for Tropical. Maybe not close enough to make a move, but Ali Ferrari and Drobel will be keeping a close eye on things. As Collateral Lads, there's a yellow flag in Sector 1. What's happened there? Is it Lexus again that's gone for a spin?
no,
Or I think it might have been Gopher.
yeah, it's Gopher. He just lost it on the run then towards turn 3, and yeah, it kind of sums up both Red Bull's days so far.
Thank you for the drinks, Gary. As Tomcat does manage to get past Hirsch for P13, as well as AMS Drive has fitted the soft tyres, and once again another driver who could be backing on some rain. Ali Ferrari though, you can tell that the hard tyres maybe showing a little bit more wear now. He went a little bit wide after cops, and might have been a warning coming for him, but has got DRS on Tropical as a result of that. But Tropical has got DRS in favour of himself on Object Fungus, and is getting very, very close now to Object Fungus in the battle for P1 Cruiser.
Yeah, he's definitely doing the battle to keep up with the Ferrari, but Object Fungus surely is gambling and banking on that rain to fall any lap now. But looking as well at the telemetry, we've got Tropical on 16%, Basby, Ali Ferrari is on 38%, Robo on roughly the same, and Object Fungus on 35%. So it's looking like out of the top 4, Tropical's the one that's struggling the most here with straight line speed or just corner exits.
Sorry, just cut in there. Nocco has just made it past Henkers, got the overtake done on the Hamilton straight, and then still went flat out into turn 1. That was absolutely majestic from Nocco. Moves himself up into P10, back into the points places after pitting under the safety car Cruiser. Tornado is next up for him, as Poya gets a 3-second time penalty. Will not be very beneficial for her race, as Poya gets past Henkers, but Henkers is going to come back and battle for this move, and Henkers looks to stick one around the outside, but Poya will stay in P11 after making the move on the Wellington Straight. That's her up to P11. Nocco in P10 has Tornado in his sights. Fliniesta is chasing after his teammate Glads, as Glads is chasing after the two Alpines here for 5th and 6th place. This race is really heating up. As you can see, the clouds are starting to descend in this Silverstone track, guys. Be sure to keep an eye on what happens towards the end of this race, as we do anticipate rain coming towards the back end of the race. Let's keep an eye though on what's happening at the very front of the pack, as Tropical has cut that gap down. It was to about 0.2 of a second. It is getting back down there, 0.3 of a second now, and the straight line speed on those hard tyres, Cruiser, is coming back into play. As it looks like Object Fungus is just struggling, and I think we might see an overtake here for first place, as they are literally bumper to bumper going around the stadium section. We'll stay on board with Tropical, who is going to get DRS. Oh, but just gets a little bit wobbly on the exit of the corner. I think that has definitely cost him the chance to overtake Tropical here. Sorry, the chance to overtake Object Fungus, and yes, it has. It's unfortunate, but could get a little bit of a switchback, could maybe off for the inside line. Snaps the car, and this has brought the likes of Ali Ferrari and Trouble back into things, as Revenzilla is sticking with his teammate as well. Glads is outside of the DRS range at the moment to Revenzilla. Let's stay on board with what's happening with P1 and P2 though. These are the 2 or 3, you could say, closest battles on track at the moment, and this is the battle for P1 involving 4 cars. Look at the way that Tropical has just done Maggots and Beckett's there. That was sublime. That was brilliant. And all the energy is going to get sapped out of Tropical's car here. You can see the red warning light will be coming on now. Less than 10% battery, but is Object Fungus just manages to keep it in play and will stay in P1 until possibly the end of this lap. I'll tell you what, this is great defensive play as well from Object Fungus, because Tropical had a little look down the inside as they went into stow. And can you see that, Cruiser? Can you see rain has started to fall on lap 15 now? It is starting to rain, and Object Fungus is Tropical. It's just gotten a penalty. Object Fungus will be laughing now. 1 or 2 more laps here, can stick it out, and then get into the pits with some intermediate tyres, and we will have a wet finish to this race, everyone. Be sure to stick around, because this race is far from over. 11 laps to go here in Silverstone. Object Fungus has the lead at the moment. Tropical in 2nd place, with Ali Ferrari sticking close behind, with Drobel as well close behind in 4th place. Do not go anywhere. Cruiser, your thoughts on the 5 laps after the safety car period?
Wow. I don't think there's anything that can do justice to this race. Object Fungus, whatever rain dance or magic he's performing in that Ferrari, it seems to have worked. And Ali very wide there, doing
very wide again.
And with the rain starting to fall, I think the sun is starting to come out here for Object Fungus. A little glimmer of hope is AMS Drive is the first driver in the field to blink, and they've gone on intermediates, and DRS has been disabled. I think
wow.
Within at least 2 laps, these drivers will make the call, and now it's even more critical. What is Tropical going to do? He's going to follow Object,
and they're both in the pits. They're both in the pits, and look at this! Oh, and just stays ahead does Object Fungus, but Tropical, that was very, very cheeky from Tropical, and almost got that move done. That was impressive to keep the time down, as Glad and Nocco have both stayed out, so that could be problematic for those two. The likes of Collateral Edge and Revenzilla have gone into the pit. Let's see what happens between Object Fungus and Tropical, and I think Tropical just stays behind though, but look at how close this is between the front 4. Definitely lost a little bit of time for Tropical and Object Fungus there, as we will start to go racing once again, but in wet conditions now here at Silverstone. Object Fungus gets away really well, and I'll tell you what, Ali Ferrari, I think might have just got held up, is Object Fungus and Tropical. there was a little bit of argy-barginess, and with DRS disabled, Tropical has taken the net lead, but it's not over yet, people. It's Object Fungus is coming back. It's Tropical. Tropical has to defend for his life here, but Object Fungus gets back into the first place net P1. It's 4th place on track at the moment, but you've got to see the rest of them pitting. It is a net P1 for Object Fungus, and what a move that was down the Wellington straight, and Tropical getting a little bit wide there, Cruiser. What a crazy, crazy race we've got here, as there's another spinner, and I believe that is Gopher who's had a spin. Is Tropical's gone wide again? My goodness, what is going on in this race? It looks like Object Fungus is going to catch up to the likes of Hirsch. Drobel is sticking to the back of Ali Ferrari here as well, but the likes of Collateral Lads, Fliniesta and Revengezilla have made it to good point positions here. They're going to be 6th and 7th respectively. Henkes and Poya both racing for their lives as well, looking to get some points out of here. Cruiser, your thoughts on that insane battle for net P1 there?
First off, I'll never know how Tropical and Object Fungus didn't make any contact on into the pit lane. That was absolute last second, late on the brakes there from Tropical, as the lads Nocco and Hirsch realised their mistake, and they've finally pitted onto intermediates. They will plummet down the order, but Tropical, I think, for all he did make that overtake on Object Fungus, momentarily taking the lead of the race. They're the one that's struggling the most to adapt to these conditions, and looking as well at the telemetry, the ERS usage for Object Fungus is now in above 70%. Tropical's only on 40%, so that battery usage in the dry conditions for Object Fungus is swung the pendulum very much back in the Ferrari's favour.
Just looking as well, there was a little bit of argy-barginess between the likes of Nocco, Henkers, as Nocco just gets past on the Wellington straight as well. Nocco started in P2, has got a lot of ground to make up now. Tilwink says he can't hear Cruiser properly at all. If anyone else can give us some feedback on that, that would be fantastic, as it looks like Henkers might be coming back at Nocco here. Not this time, as Poya and Tomcat have both had a little bit of a hit. And that's Tomcat who's... Oh my goodness, that was scary. As Tomcat just manages to keep it out of the wall. Probably just a pause, unpause for Cruiser fix. I don't know if you want to try that, mate. But yeah, the yellow flags are flying at the moment. You can see Tornado and Henkers battling for the final points place. Tornado late on the brakes and manages to get around the outside. We're going to go on broadcast camera, it gives us a better camera. Tornado does make the move stick and goes into P10 now. The battle for the final points place is really hotting up here, as it looks like Object Fungus has just managed to get out ahead of Tropical a little bit more. Ali Ferrari now has lit up his tyres quite well, Cruiser.
Yeah, he's definitely keeping up with the Haas. And another battle on track as well between Collateral as Fliniesta and Revengezilla over 5th place. Collateral as getting a bit detached from the lead group. Fliniesta carrying that penalty as well, and Revengezilla probably in the best position out of all three of them to make the move.
Definitely, yeah, Revengezilla. Let's have a look at the time penalties. So Fliniesta 5 seconds, Collateral adds 3 seconds, so even if it stays like this, Revengezilla will be getting his first points of the season, and I'm sure he'll be absolutely buzzing with that. But it all relies on who can stick on the track and who can just get the pure pace out of the car now, Cruiser, because there is no DRS here, there is no massive, well, there are some massive slipstreams still, but there's no DRS that can really help them. So it is all about just getting the car into the right places. Collateral Lads gets another 3-second time penalty, so Revengezilla will be once again moving up another place if they stay in the position that they are.
It's been a little bit of a field spread as well here. Everyone within 2 seconds of each other, apart from those two fights up at the front, as we mentioned. And Ali Ferrari,
wow,
almost ice skating her in the final corner there, trying to keep within that 1 second range of Tropical, try and keep the Haas honest, and that is also what the Haas is trying to do to Object Fungus. But that time penalty for Tropical is going to play a big part in the end of this race.
Without a doubt. I'm just looking at the battle for 5th place at the moment as well. Fliniesta and Collateral Ads getting very, very close for comfort into the Vale chicane. As you can see, Revengezilla has sent one down the inside of Fliniesta, but Flynn is going to come back at him and retakes P6, but these guys still battling down the Wellington Straight. There is a lot of battery usage for Revengezilla, but will just stay in P7. But it was a good attempt from Revengezilla to try and get it up to P6. Of course, like we said, he will be in P6 or P5 at least because of time penalties if it stays as it is, but just drops a little bit more time down to Flynn now. But there was a little bit of a battle, as I was saying, going on between Collateral Ads and Fliniesta. Flynn had actually managed to get past into the Vale chicane, but a lovely switchback by Collateral Ads kept him in 5th place. And let's see, Glads could be getting in on the action here as Tornado is in P10, has managed to gain 1.7 seconds from the previous couple of laps to Henker's. So these points positions, they haven't been made up yet, Cruiser.
Definitely not, with the penalties that could still be applied and still to come in this race. Anything can happen towards the end of the race. We've got just 7 laps to go here in Silverstone, and that fight at the front is definitely anything but over.
Without a doubt, anything but over. The gap looks a little bit spread at the moment, but you know anything can happen in these wet and rainy conditions. Tornado getting close to Nocco, with Fliniesta getting very, very close to, oh my word, Collateral Ads, as he has a massive snap of oversteer but manages to correct the car and is very lucky to have stayed on track at that moment in time. But that's when you can see how much the rain has an effect on these guys who opted for those dry setups to just get as far as they could before the rain came. Revengezilla keeping them very much on their toes, the Alpine and the Aston Martin. Collateral Ads is doing a very good job defensively though, Cruiser.
Yeah, he's doing a very strong defensive drive here, up in 5th, a very strong result as well for the Alpine team. But all this, excuse me, all this fighting as we've got a yellow flash somewhere.
That's Lexus again.
1, Red Bulls are struggling here in Silverstone, but like I was mentioning, the Alpine getting a little bit of a moving roadblock here amongst the field. The TCV Lads is catching up to Revengezilla, Nocco's catching up as well, and Tornado is being towed along very nicely by the Ferrari.
And just looking once again at the battle for P5, Fliniesta and Collateral Ads getting very close for comfort here. That's the second time that they've made contact, and Fliniesta just had to correct himself, and that has once again brought Revengezilla back into this fight. Like we said, he's got P5 on track at the moment, but is he going to look to send one around the outside of Fliniesta? But nothing doing, and had to correct the car a little bit. But now you can see here's Glads getting into the fight. If there was DRS, they'd be within DRS range, and TS9 saying Zilla's got to be the driver of the day for sure. At the moment it's looking that way, but this race is still not over yet, and there is still plenty of action to come. Let's have a look. You can see that almost every time that Fliniesta is getting on the throttle, that back end is going almost every single time, Cruiser.
Just shows how hard he's pushing that Aston Martin to try and get past Collateral Ads, but he's just not close enough. It's always tantalisingly close for the Aston Martin, but he just can't quite grasp 5th place away from that Alpine. And we're seeing there as well, he's very twitchy in the exit of Luffield, and that battery as well, it's not looking healthy. He's pushing as hard as he can to get past Collateral Ads, but in return he has nothing to mount that challenge when he gets a chance to.
2 Alpines, 2 Aston Martins, both battling for 5th position. At the moment it is advantage Revengezilla and Glads because they don't have their time penalties, but Fliniesta will look to send one through Beckington once again. They've made contact, and Revengezilla will take that opportunity like there is no tomorrow, and he is going to get through on... Oh, is he going to get through actually? No, he's not. It's so close between the two of them. But the Williams, sorry, it's not an Alpine, it's the Williams of Revengezilla gets through, but once again Fliniesta gets back at him, but a lovely switchback by Revengezilla means that he is up to 6th place, P5 after penalties as well, Cruiser. That was interesting. As Glads as well gets past Fliniesta, but I think that was articulated from the 2 Aston Martins.
Yeah, Flynn didn't make that any harder than what it had to be there for TTV lads to get past him. And Ali up at the front, Tropical round.
Tropical is spun. And what has happened there between Ali and Tropical, I wonder, has he just lost it on his own accord? We saw how hard it is for these guys to get the heat in their tyres, and I think Tropical might have just binned it himself, but Ali Ferrari up to P2 now, on track, and Drobel will have that final podium place at the moment, but Collateral Lads don't count him out now, and Revengezilla could be on for a P4 finish now if he just gets a little move on, because Tropical will have a lot of heat in those tyres and he'll need to slow down a little bit. Glads as well could be on for a P5 finish as well, Cruiser. This is getting very, very intense. We've got 4 laps of racing to go, but the racing hasn't stopped throughout this entire session. It's been fantastic, hasn't it? And this is FPRL, I think, down to a T. You saw it between Object Fungus and Tropical. You saw it between Collateral Lads and Fliniesta. You saw it between Revengezilla and Fliniesta. Glads up in there as well. This has been a fantastic race, Cruiser.
Absolutely, the midfield, and no particular shout out to the midfield. It's been absolute nose to tail for the past 22 laps, going on 23 now of 26, and up at the front as well, Drobel is starting to get a move on and starting to heckle that Mercedes a little bit.
Of course, because Ali Ferrari has been stuck behind Tropical for quite a while, and because of that, it might have just had a bit of an impact on his tyres as Tornado gets a move done on Tropical as well. So Tropical has not had the best of races since he pitted on under the safety car. Tiddlewink said he's on the edge of his seat because of this race. He's really enjoying the action at the moment, and it's not over yet. We've got 3 laps of racing to go, and the podium place is still for grabs here. P4 still for grabs, as well as P5. P9, Tornado could be moving up to P8 at least. Nocco could be kicking Fliniesta out the points at the moment. Oh, sorry, Henkers could be kicking Flynn out the points at the moment, Cruiser.
Yeah, also on the subject of penalties, Tropical is carrying 3 seconds of penalties, Collateral Lads on 6 seconds, and Revengezilla is barely within 3 seconds of that half, so for all we know, that Williams could be seeing a top 4 finish if he keeps within that 3 seconds.
First time Revengezilla could be scoring points now. If he's watching the stream, no pressure at all, mate. Is draining the battery just to try and get ahead of Collateral Lads, but I think he's more focused now on trying to get into that 3-second margin of Tropical for P4. That's what's on the line for him at the moment, and he could actually send one down the inside of Collateral Lads, but he's very patient and he's not looking to make a move at the moment, Cruiser. But 3 tenths the gap between the two of them at the moment, goes up to 4, 5 tenths now. So he needs to really cut that gap down if he wants to finish in P4. Tropical has made up for his previous spin and is just getting a little bit more time on Collateral Lads, who's actually now got 9 seconds worth of penalties. So it's all on Revengezilla now and Glads to try and get up into that 3-second gap. Speaking of Glads, actually, Glads has just hopped over the curb and that will not help him whatsoever. And it's a big couple of laps now as well for Revengezilla, who almost gets led past by Collateral Lads. I think Collateral Lads knows that his race is over and he needs to just defend as much as he can to try and just keep his points position at bay. So Revengezilla now is in the hunt for that 3-second gap, and he's in that 3-second gap now, so he needs to maintain the gap. And it looks like it's very wet now, so I wonder if... Oh, and look at this battle as well, sorry, between Nocco and Henkers. Henkers will just stick it down the inside of Cops, as Lexus has left for some reason. Only a couple of laps left though.
We'll get them back.
Anyways, let's go back to the battle at the front. And I think Collateral Lads might actually be struggling on his tyres a little bit, as Glads is right on the back of him as well. Revengezilla 2.6 seconds to Tropical. So at the moment he's going to be in P4, but what's happened to Collateral Lads?
Oh, no.
Collateral Lads has had a spin, and that has pushed Collateral Lads out of the point. And that is major disappointment for the Alpine driver. And that pushes Nocco back into the points as well. Oh, that's so unfortunate for him, Fliniesta will be breathing a big sigh of relief as well, though. So, let's have a look at what's happening in the battle for second place here as Strobel just stays within that 1 second gap of Ali Ferrari. He's got 2 laps now to make something of this race. If he wants to get second place, then sure, he can go for it. But it's a tall order, isn't it? Especially in these wet conditions. It's more about pure pace rather than anything else, as Poya gets another time penalty in Tornado right on the back of Fliniesta now, and this is looking like a close battle. Is Tornado maybe going to go for a switchback? The Aston Martin hit ads, says Gary. We'll have to have a look. Maybe they'll submit a clip. 3/10 the gap now between Tornado and Fliniesta, as Revengezilla as well is 2.1 seconds behind Tropical, so that'll be a P4 finish for him at the moment. If anything happens ahead, though, it could be a podium for them. Tornado just gets a little bit trigger happy on the throttle, and that's cost him quite a lot of time actually. And it looks like that P7 might just be in jeopardy now, as Monkey Boy Kurt gets another 3-second time penalty. He is all the way down in 15th place though, so I don't think it'll mean much for him. And I'll tell you what, Strobel has had a shocking lap, and he's lost about 7/10 I think in this lap. I don't know if he's had a little moment towards the end of the lap cruiser, but it's getting really exciting here as once again Fliniesta has had a massive snap of the back end of the car, and that's allowed Tornado just to cut the gap down once again, as we have entered the final lap of the race, and it is still all to play for in terms of that battle for 4th place. Flynn is in 6th place at the moment, but he could drop down as far as 8th place at the moment, who once again gets a load of opposite lock. Revengezilla 1.9 seconds now to Tropical's cruiser. This is getting intense, isn't it?
The final lap. This is probably the moment where everyone's just going to absolutely drain the battery, give it everything they've got for that final lap. And up at the front, though, I think it's going to be another day at the office for the Ferrari of Object Fungus.
Object Fungus, absolutely running away with it, isn't he? Has smashed it out of the park as there's a yellow flag in sector 2, and who's that? It's Tropical again! It's Tropical again, who's had a spin. Oh, and has had another spin as well. That is major disappointment for Tropical, who is now out of the points after running in 2nd place for so long. Has had mad problems in the wet conditions, but now we are going to keep an eye on the man in 1st place. It's Object Fungus. This is another yellow flag, and that is, I believe that's Tomcat who's had an issue there. Object Fungus, though, is going around the final corner, is going very slow actually. Is there a problem with fuel? I don't think there is. He's absolutely dominated today though. And Object Fungus has won the British Grand Prix, as Ali Ferrari finishes in 2nd, Strobel in 3rd, and Revengezilla, for the first time this season, will finish in the points. It's 4th place for Revengezilla, as there's a big battle going on between Poya and Collateral Ads here at the very end. Who's going to finish in the points here? Is it Poya or is it Ads? It's going to be Poya, as Collateral Ads has a big spin towards the end. But Tropical just finishes in that last points place. Fliniesta drops down to 7th. Tornado gets 5th with some mental overtakes towards the end, but you've got to take your hat off to Revengezilla. 4th place in this race, 1st points of the season. What a race it has been, as we saw action, carnage, so much towards the end. But what a race it has been, and I've really enjoyed commentating on it, and I hope everyone watching at home has enjoyed watching it as well. Wow.
Yeah. Wow, what a race.
And that is the race. Object Fungus taking another win, and that extends the gap once again. I think almost 200 points clear now. It's Object Fungus. And Tornado, 14 races without scoring, all over. And then Hirsch said that they ruined their race with the strategy that they put out. So unfortunate for Hirsch, but still a fantastic race all around. As we do see the podium, it is Object Fungus who will take the top step once again after disappointment in last week's race in Canada. Has his wheel out with him. And we'll take the trophy. And they will all spray the champagne. Let us know your thoughts on that race, everyone. Can't wait to watch that one back.
Absolutely, that is definitely going to be one for the FPRL montage and for the history books as well. A truly enthralling race once again at Silverstone, and unfortunately, well, I would say unfortunately, but to no one's surprise, it's another Ferrari victory.
And we counted Object Fungus out as well completely. We completely counted him out. And all of a sudden, the rain comes, and the strategy seems absolutely genius. Let's get these guys into the party for a podium interview.
We'll do that right away.
Hats off to Revengezilla as well. P4 in the race. A fantastic race from Revengezilla. But do stick around because we have got the podium interviews to come.
I believe we do have all of our drivers here.
Yes, we do. So just make sure, everyone, to include your audio in the stream, and then we'll start with our podium interviews. Alright, are we all ready? I'll take that as a yes. So, we'll start with, of course, the race winner, Object Fungus. Another race, another win for you, with a incredible strategy and keeping you cool in the rain as well. How are you feeling after that race?
Tired, definitely. Well, it was a very hard race, especially the first stints where the two drivers behind me, well, I think even 3 or 4 drivers, were right up my ass, like really close. So I luckily managed to make it to the rain, but my tires were absolutely dead at the end. So yeah, I was lucky to kind of survive the first stint, and then in the rain, I felt pretty confident at the beginning, but then just lost some grip and tried to just keep it clean till the end.
And the battle you had with Tropical, that even led into the rain, that was, sensational. Some of the best battling that I've seen on any of the F1 games. When he got that move done once the rain had started, and then you came back at him at the Wellington Straight, what was your thought process through all that? What were you thinking whilst that was all happening?
I mean, the battle kind of started in the pit lane already. So I was like, oh, this will be a close one. And I luckily didn't get held up or something by the guys behind. So I got out and he was right behind me. And I was just trying to not spin out of the pit lane because of misjudging the grip levels. So I went out and then I saw his arrow. I think it was turn 4, if I'm not wrong, where he overtook me. Just setting it down the inside, I was like, okay, well. And then he went past, but I had the better line for the next corner. And so I just tried to make a very risky lunge down the inside. But it was a very nice battle. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and we enjoyed watching it as well. Like you said, one of the best battles that we've seen in FPRL. But we've got to talk about your lead in this championship. It's approaching 200 points now. You can wrap this title up in the next few races, surely. What's your sort of mind? Where's your mind at the moment about all that?
Championship I well, I made myself not a challenge, but I didn't open the um, championship standing once, so I don't actually know how big the gap is. And well, that's I think a good strategy to just keep focusing on the race, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I have this and this points of a gap, so I can relax. I just
Yeah.
try to maximize every race. That's the way I'm going for every race.
Nice one. Well, massive congratulations on another race win and a fantastic performance as well.
Thank you.
And best of luck for the next race as well.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the driver who finished in second place, Ali Ferrari. You were always there or thereabouts for this race, and I think P2 is definitely very deserved. How are you feeling after the race?
All I can say is that it could have been better. Of course, in quality, I was fastest in Q1, Q2, Q3. I only did one lap, which was in fact slower than my Q2 lap. And then I wasn't paying attention to how much time was left, and I was just watching my phone. And then I went out when it was like 1 minute and 30, and then yeah, I was like, you know what, there's no chance. I won't even make it. Why even try? And going into the race, the start was okay. I only lost one place. Other than that, I was after the first safety car, I was easily the quickest out of the top three. But I couldn't get past Tropical, so I was like, you know, I'll just stay behind, and then when they battle, I might try and make my way through them, which didn't happen, of course. Going into the wets, I was quickest in the first 3 laps, and after that, the next 5 laps, I was slower than Object Fungus, and I started gaining some time to me. The last 2 or 3 laps where it became really wet. And yeah, that was just my race. P2 could have been better. I could have maybe battled for the win, but still happy. First day on my first race on my new wheel as well.
Very nice. And how are you feeling for the next race as well? Of course, it is a sprint race next week.
I don't like Austria, to be honest. I prefer Silverstone a lot more.
Prefer Silverstone a lot more. Well, I can clearly tell how much you prefer Silverstone after a fantastic P2 and a great drive in the wet as well. Ali Ferrari, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
a podium here in Silverstone. Okay, have we got Drobel in the party? I saw he kept coming and going. Yes, we do. So, yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, man. So, P3 goes to you, Drobel. You were once again always there or thereabouts within that top 4, and you took advantage of Tropical's misfortune. How are you feeling for getting the podium? Nice one. And then looking towards the sprint race next week, you know, big opportunity for big points. How are you feeling? Would like a podium next week. Well, it is certainly going to be an interesting race in Tier 1, but well done for a podium to you in the McLaren, mate. Fantastic. Okay, so that is the Tier 1 race over and done with here in Silverstone. It has been an absolute cracker and one of the races that will go down as the all-time greats in FPRL. Thank you very much for tuning in. I've been Soprano with my fantastic commentary partner, Cruiser. It's been an absolute pleasure, Cruiser.
Thank you, mate. And with that, this has been Cruiser 1872, and also Soprano legend, along with a random imposter by the name of Tiddlewink to join the party and end off this broadcast. Go away.
Hey,
You're not
there's
meant to be
always
in the
someone that
commentary
ruins
box,
it.
mate. Anyway, a lot.
Right, thanks very much.